Welcome to the Former Insider's Look at K-12 Education with Cindy. This is episode 7 entitled, What Happened to Academics? Last week, there was a post from a New Jersey 10th grade language arts teacher, and it went viral on X. By the way, I'm originally from New Jersey, so this kind of resonated with me. This teacher wrote, and I quote, "They don't know how to read at their age. I'm serious, 2 to 3 grade reading levels, maybe." As she then asked, "What the hell happened and how did we get here?" She comments about how students are rude and always on their phones, and she notes she has lost her passion for teaching. After also noting that she needs wine, she needs something, she doesn't know what, she suddenly comes to the realization that she will teach 10th graders how to read from scratch. She also states, "I don't believe COVID is the issue. It's the system and our county that doesn't believe in education." Now, that post sounded really shocking to most people, but it wasn't to me since I've been teaching English for more than 20 years. At first, I taught K-12 in middle and high school, and now I'm teaching English in several colleges, community colleges, and four-year colleges. And I run into the exact same thing. Students who can't write, students who do not even know the basics of grammar, and students whose reading skills could be much better. I came to the exact same conclusion as the New Jersey teacher in both high school and now in college. I teach grammar from scratch, and I teach writing from scratch. I have students read aloud voluntarily to help with the reading problem. That way we can stop and discuss the text, and the poor readers start to pick up reading skills from the better readers. I frankly sometimes agonize when I have to give feedback on rough drafts because I find myself needing to point out really basic errors in most of a student's paper. They haven't learned how to use commas, apostrophes, quotation marks, and most don't even really know what a semicolon or colon is. They write sentence fragments and run-ons. And these are students who have gotten into college. What about the others? And how did we get here? Well, I have a few guesses and stories to share. First of all, schools stopped teaching grammars years ago. For some reason, they thought grammar wasn't necessary and that students would automatically pick it up, by osmosis or something while learning how to write. However, when a student takes a foreign language, they always learn the grammar rules. That just makes sense. Well, the colleges started complaining that they were getting students who didn't know the basics of grammar, and the SAT test actually added a grammar section in 2005. So then you started seeing some grammar being taught, but really still not enough. And frankly, a big part of the problem is that a lot of teachers don't know grammar themselves. I have both a bachelor's and master's degree in English, but I never took a single course in grammar in my college studies. They didn't offer any. But I was fortunate to attend 12 years of Catholic schools, which heavily emphasize grammar. And if you've been to a Catholic school, you know what I'm talking about. I also took 6 years of Latin, which also really helps with English grammar. Then on top of that, I worked as an editor for 20 years before becoming an English teacher. And then while I was an English teacher, I did that on the side. And when I worked at one school, one of my colleagues had a PhD in English, but she came to me with her grammar questions when I only had a bachelor's degree in English at that time. As she said angrily to me, "I never learned grammar and I have a PhD in English." She added, "Why is that?" I also worked alongside a colleague who had earned a master's degree in teaching English and social studies. However, she could not write a decent grammatically correct sentence. And worst of all, she didn't know this. She thought she knew how to write. But her parents of the students, who were from other countries and had learned proper English grammar, complained to the principal that she was teaching their children English, but she couldn't write proper sentences in her communications to them. They were justifiably quite concerned and worried about this. One more story I have is an experience that I shared on X. Once I had a 7th grader sit in my English class and do absolutely nothing during the first week of school. When I suddenly realized this was happening, I asked her why she wasn't working. And she said, well, every teacher before me had never asked her to do anything, but she got passed anyway. By the end of the year, she was reading and writing at grade level because I expected something from her, and I tutored her after class, which teachers are supposed to do, and she was thrilled that someone cared. Our students are capable, but they're just not being taught what they need to know. My college students, just like my 7th grader, quickly pick up my grammar and writing lessons, and by the end of the semester, most of them can write a decent essay. Now, this lack of knowledge also extends to math. For some reason, students aren't being asked to memorize their times tables anymore. I've seen many high school students who can't multiply, but they can do calculus, which seem very confusing to me. They need their calculators to multiply 9 times 8, for instance. By the way, it's 72. I've asked them, wouldn't it just be easier to memorize your times tables like I had to do in 3rd grade? I remember really having fun doing that. They just look at me blankly like it's not something they'd ever consider. But I ask, well, aren't they handicapped? And what also has surprised me is that students aren't being taught cursive anymore in most schools. They don't even know how to sign something. They print their names or they sign digitally on the computer. Once again, I believe this is handicapping them. When I lived in the Seattle area 25 years ago, I began homeschooling my 3 children because when my oldest daughter was in 3rd grade, she learned absolutely nothing the entire year, and I mean absolutely nothing. I figured if I taught her only one thing the following year when I homeschooled her, that would have been better than her public school experience that year. In closing, I have to ask, if students can't read or write, then why are the school systems passing them every year? And where is our taxpayer money being spent if our kids are not even learning basic knowledge? Thanks for listening, and take care until next time.